dude, you've been doing this same set for 20 years. I think you have it.
Yeah.
It's not like you're poring over note cards on new material.
The thing is, when I think of comics, I think like fun.
Right.
Our job is to make people laugh. And when I meet a comic that's similar to that, it just throws me off. Like, do you not know what we're trying to do here? Like, this is so much fun. Like, people want to do this.
Right.
I don't know. And I'll say this again, too. There's people that get a bad rap in the scene. I'll bring up Matt Light specifically. People think the kid's an asshole and this and that. When I've worked with him professionally, fucking consummate professional, and I cannot say that enough about him.
It's tough sometimes for me to wrap my head around the Matt that I know and have worked with,
and the way
versus the social media
yeah.
Matt.
It's wild. People think like he's just a piece of garbage and blah blah blah. He's a great fucking guy and a fucking professional.
He's got that. And he's a big fan. He's got that wrestling mentality.
Yep.
Who Matt is not who Matt portrays.
There's kayfabe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's and I've known Matt for probably 3-4 years now, and I can't say enough good things about him. He's just a great guy.
I met Matt the first time at Beer Hive.
Oh yeah,
when he would host that.
The host of Mike.
But yeah, like that's
actually where we met.
We met
at the Beer Hive out front.
I could have swore we met at Blind Pig, and then I saw you at the Beer Hive and was like, "Oh, Carl, nice to see you again."
Was it the? Yeah, it might have been that.
Well, either way, it was very similar.
You were hanging with Andres as you usually do. Your heterosexual life partner. But
Andreas calls me vain, and it's a reference directly to my penis.
But it's the comedy. I think it's unconscionable for a city of this size to essentially have 2 comedy clubs.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
it's a stretch when you say that too.
Yeah, Ham Bones, may it rest in peace.
Yeah.
Was really, and correct me if I'm wrong, was really known more for its mics than its shows.
I would agree with that. However, the festival garnered a lot of attention.
Oh, yeah.
And that spread quite a bit.
Right.
The shows, I was such a young comic that, I can't say the shows were good. I know they were bringing out-of-towners in.
Right.
But I do know that, the mics was the biggest thing there.
Right.
And we lost a lot with that. Even if the shows weren't the best, we lost so much with that venue.
Yeah.
And then, the Improv, they're more focused on business, which I get.
Right.
But they're it's a more of a corporate thing than it is a comedy, scene, grow, develop. And Arcade, shout out to Arcade, nothing against them, but they're a hybrid show. Venue.
It's a mixed bag.
It does improv, does stage shows, all types of stuff. We don't have a club in the city or in the area even that I feel like cultivates local talent and tries to get them improved to a level where it's not here. We're going to do a shitty show at a bar this week.
Right.
To actually bring you the professional environment and help you up to the tools.
Yeah, San Diego was interesting in that right at La Jolla, you have the Comedy Store. There's the American Comedy Club downtown, and those two were similar beasts in that their headliners were always true headliners. Like L.A. headliners, big names, would either be at the store or the American Comedy Club. But I worked at a comedy club called Madhouse Comedy Club, and it was the second triple A ball.
Okay.
The headliners at the Madhouse were
Washington Wildcats.
Yeah, they were people who were going to go on to much bigger things. But they were clearly better than everybody else on the card. And there was the Comedy Palace that also did shows. And it's the fact, and there's another one that's recently opened. I can't remember the name because I don't live there anymore. But there was 5 comedy clubs. And I did, again, the weirdness that is my life, I did most of my comedy upbringing in clubs.
Okay.
Not in shitty bar shows, not in, every place I went had a stage, and it had sound, and it had lights. And
you know what? I'm going to say this. Must be nice.
It again, it was weird. It's not everybody's common experience. And
my comedy career has gone through the fucking trenches. I've performed with no microphone, no sound. Yeah.
Have you really?
Oh, many times I go a cappella. But here's the thing. Here's the wild thing that it's happened to me so many times before. When I'm on a show now where the sound is out, I see other comedians struggling, and they're like holding their hand and not projecting. I get up there and I'm just like, blah, blah, blah,
right.
Blah, blah. But yeah, I've gone through shit, I mean, and it makes you stronger, but
sure,
it's one of those things at the time. Oh, you don't want to fucking do it.
Right.
Yeah.
The downside of I didn't know how to handle no crowd. Bar shows prepare you for either no crowd or if the crowd is there. Sometimes I liken bar shows to you're inflicting comedy on an unsuspecting nation.
You're harassing them with jokes.
Because a lot of times it's not like they even advertise it.
Nope.
So there are people coming in there to watch the ball game. They're in there to shoot pool. All of a sudden, some asshole standing in the corner.
Screaming about his dick.
Yeah. But one thing working at comedy clubs, like if you work a random Tuesday night show at a comedy club and the weather's not good and you don't know how to handle having nobody in the audience. I've performed in front of 6 people before. It oh God, it sucks.
I performed in front of an audience of 2. It was miserable.
Especially when you're in a club and everything is geared. Those poor 6 people were sitting in this empty room. And I was completely unprepared for it.
Karl, when you were living in San Diego, did you ever go up to L.A.?
No.
No? Okay.
No, because I don't ever, on all the slash lines, comedian is never first for me. I know a lot of people who, most people who are trying to be serious about it is I'm a comedian with a day job. I'm a chef who does comedy.
Okay.
That has always been, and so I've never really had, while I was doing comedy, I've never really had a job. I've had a career.
Okay.
I've had, I'm doing my life's work.
Most of us are doing gigs and shit just to try and make this.
Right.
Okay.
Right. So it's just, I'm not your typical guy. And the art is kind of the same thing. I'm not.
Yeah, tell me about your painting. I didn't.
I started painting way back years ago when I was still in the Air Force. I started painting, and I started with oil paints. But again, alluding to my terrible ADD, oils take too long to dry. And I stopped doing it for a while because I would go in and I can just try to fix this. Well, then I had to fix what I just tried to fix. And it's like when you're trimming your mustache or your beard and it keeps incrementally getting up and sooner or later you're clean shaven.
Yeah.
So I stopped doing that. And then YouTube, I started watching like the spray paint videos. The guys doing like space painting.
Those are really cool.
So I taught myself how to do that. And from that, I started doing spray paint landscapes. And it was fine when I lived in San Diego, but my wife won't let me spray paint in the house.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I can understand.
And yeah, because that smell doesn't go away.
Yeah.
So I got into acrylics because I can do that inside. And I've been painting, well, especially since I stopped being a chef full time.